Yeah, hello, Himanshu this
Hi,
side.
how are you?
Hi, Manchu. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Thanks for joining me today. So we're going to get started in a few minutes here. I'm just admitting some more people into the room. It looks like we have a popular topic here because lots of people are still joining us. But yeah, let me get started with a hello. So welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jane Stevens. I am the training manager here at Zolo, and I am joined by a couple of our team leaders. I have Lisa Nash with me here today, and I have Himanshu as well. So welcome both of you to today's webinar.
Thanks.
We have an exciting topic. We are going to be talking about listings and all things listings. So we did do a webinar on Tuesday where we focused really on the paperwork. So what do you do after you get that yes after a listing presentation? And we walked through the paperwork, how to upload things to Treb. So that was all the admin stuff. But today we're going to talk about the fun stuff. So everything from how to conduct a listing presentation, what you do beforehand if you have a pre-listing presentation, what you do after in terms of marketing and managing the listing. So again, I'm just admitting some people here into the room.
I'm trying to help you out with that.
Awesome, thank you. And I just want to make sure, I think we had a couple of other people who are going to join us on the panel today, so I just want to make sure that I am adding them to the panel and not leaving them in the room. All right. Okay, awesome. You know what? I am just going to do something a little bit differently today. I am going to just stop this screen share and let's just have a conversation. So 1 second here while we do that. All right, that way I can see everybody. Parveen, yes, hello. Good afternoon. You're still on.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, hello. All right, let's get started. So we're just, again, still admitting people into the room. So again, for those of you who have just joined, my name is Jane Stevens. I'm the training manager here at Zolo. We have a very exciting topic here today. We're going to be talking about listing strategies. I am joined by a few of our team leaders. So I have Lisa Nash, I have Parveen Sharma, I have Himanshu. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves first before we get started. So Lisa, if you want to get started, just say hello to the group.
Sure. Hi, group. I'm Lisa Nash, and what do you want to know? I've been I've been at Zolo since well, pretty much its inception when I was at Royal LePage, and when Zolo partnered with different brokerages, and then I just joined Zolo directly 2 years ago, and love it. Great company.
And now you're one of our team leaders.
And now I'm one of the team leaders. Yep.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you again for joining me. Himanshu, good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining me.
Good afternoon. I'm good. I'm trying to fix my camera. It will be on soon.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Himanshu. I'm one of the current team lead, and I have a team of 25 realtors, and I'm privileged to have that team. And welcome to the webinar. Jane is going to talk about a popular topic like listing, which gives most of the business to real estate. Thank you.
Thanks, Himanshu. Parveen, hello.
Hi, Jane. Hi, my name is Parveen Sharma, and I joined Zolo about 6 months back now. And I recently joined as a team leader for a small group of team. And I believe this is a really very, very important topic today, and everyone should concentrate on this one. And we can, I hope, learn a lot of things from Jane. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining me today. So yes, there is a saying in real estate, list to last. So that's what we're going to talk about today, because yes, of course, it generates buyer leads. So if you have listings, you know, that's always exciting. But let's start off and talk about how do you generate listing leads? So where do these listings come from? Lisa, if you want to get started and touch on that.
Sure. So we sort of do different, and when I say we, Steve Walker and I have been partnering with each other in various capacities for a number of years. So we do different things to generate listing leads. Now, we obviously have past clients where we get listings from our past clients. But we also, one of the things that that I do and that I'm teaching my group to do is in the script that we use, we learn how to ask if they, have a house to sell. So if they do, then that's one of the ways that we get a listing lead. And then other ways that we get our listing leads now, we do some, we have some other companies that we also get leads from. So these are third party sites that supply us with listing leads. And so we get from there. And then we also have in the past done sort of like a postcard drop in various areas that we've been looking to sort of get listings from. And these postcards are targeted. Sometimes they're for real buyers. So if we actually do have a buyer that's looking in a particular area, we actually go canvassing for a property. And even if we don't have a buyer, we can still, sometimes we'll go canvassing just because it's an area that we may want to work in. So those are some of the ways.
Awesome, amazing. And you touched on scripts. So of course here at Zolo, we have a lot of buyer leads that come into our CRM. What is one of the questions you might ask in terms of finding out if a buyer is also a seller? How do you approach that conversation?
Yep, it's quite simple. It's just, are you renting right now, or do you own a home? And that's pretty much the question. And if they own a home, then what we ask is, well, would you like a free home evaluation? And at the same time, we can give you tips on what to do, and more importantly, what not to do in order to net you the most amount of money if and when you do decide to sell. And we can also go over any closing costs that you might have. And that's a free service, and you're not obligated to do anything. So that's basically it.
Awesome. Parveen, do you have any other lead generating ideas for generating listings?
In my past time period before COVID, I used to do door knocking a lot, So door knocking was very important for me at that point, which is like I have stopped doing it, stopped now. And door knocking, and then used to do the expired indirectly, like you used to do the area of expire, and there are different ways of doing it, and so that was my main source of listings at that time. And of course I have past clients, and I follow the script as well, right? Basically whatever Lisa has just mentioned, the same script I am following it. Basically you ask them, like, if you are renting or do you own your own home. If they say they own their own home, and then you want to ask them, do you want to sell that home first, or do you want to buy the next one first? So if they are saying they want to sell it first, and then you go on to that, when will be good time, how soon you are thinking of making a move, right? And then you want to, if you think that they are ready or almost ready, within 3 to 6 months they are ready to move, then you try to make the appointment. Otherwise you put them on follow-up list, right? And the way you make the appointment is you ask them, when can I have a look at the house, so that I can tell you what you can do to make it more valuable, so that we can bring the maximum money into your pocket, right? So that's the basically it, But the most important thing is, I find out is very important is timing in case of getting it listings. If you go earlier than whenever they are ready, then you don't usually get it. The people ask you to tell them the price and commission, how much you charge, and they insist on doing it. And as soon as you tell them everything, and I believe that you are out of the picture, right? Because they rather bring the next person in. So the timing is very important in case of listings. That's what I think, and I believe you go on right timing.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk
So,
about the listing presentation and how to
yes.
approach the question of commission. But you touched on expired. So how is it that you approach expired listings?
No, not directly. Like I don't show them that I'm there for them, right? Just for them. Honestly speaking, like we used to do door knock the neighborhood, including their home. When they leave the flyer, we happen to be in the area, and we were just wondering if you are thinking of making a move next 3 to 6 months. And they say, no, we don't. So how long you have been living at this address? If you were to move, where would you go next, and when would that be, right? So basically, they say, oh, we had it for listed. Oh, you had it for listed, right? What happened? What did the agents do right for you? What happened? How did you? They always say the agents did the bad thing. Agents wasn't good enough for this and that. Whatever they say. Okay, are you? If we get you the right price now, would you make a move now? Would you start selling now? Then they say, of course, if we get the good price, we can consider it. Can we have a look at the home? Then we go and we make a tour of the home. We have a look. So when will be good? Then we set up the appointment for listing a presentation.
Perfect.
So we go them, and then we set up the appointment for listing presentation. And sometimes we have listed it right away as well. Like you go in, you have your package, you grab the package from there, and you show your listing presentation binder, and you go through that. This is my experience. I have sold this many homes in the area, whatever is, right? And you take a listing, you get them to sign, you keep you, and then next step, move on to the next step, right? Showing, preparing your home and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about the listing presentation in detail. But you mentioned,
Yes.
of course, getting the sellers the most amount of money for their property. So Himanshu, maybe I'll ask you next. How do you prepare comparables and present them to your potential sellers?
Let me
like
try if I can. Yeah, I'm there on the screen. Yeah. So normally I do comparables. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, did you ask me the question or?
Oh, I was throwing it to Himanshu.
Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, so normally I see what got sold, and I talk about both the things. I show them a good picture that it can sell for good, but at the same time keep the expectation low if it doesn't, because if their expectations are so high, whatever they get, they won't be satisfied. So it is talking to them that this is the price the properties similar to this have sold for, and at the same time keep telling them also that their house has some shortcomings too. It's a good house, but it has some shortcomings. So have the expectation low, but have the hopes high that way.
Perfect. And so you do bring recently sold properties. Do you show them active properties as well, or terminated listings, or do you just stick to the recently sold properties?
So so I normally request them that when I meet them for the listing presentation, let's go and see what area. I book all those properties which are near their area just to show them the comparables, and that gives them a real perspective what the other houses look like, and it makes my job easy to how to keep the house clean, keep it smell free, and keep it organized, and what staging a different staging can make. So I show them all the listings in the area on that day. And then I ask them, and if they get sold, they know what their house is worth. And I normally hear for comments, they normally say, oh, this house is better than us, or our house is better than this. So that gives me a perspective where they stand at, and they get to know the market also. This is what I do on the day of listing presentation.
Okay, perfect.
And I have a small projector with me. I normally show them. Before I go, I make a card for them for houses which are very similar to them, which have sold. And I show them those listings. And to share the listings which have sold and more their expectations. So like near their expectation or a little lower than their expectation. So they're at a fair level of expectation. So what I try to do, as I said, keep the hopes high, but keep the expectation low.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Lisa, anything on that, on comparables? Do you ever reach out to the listing agents to find out, how it went with their listing, if they had lots of offers, if they were holding off, if they didn't receive offers? Do you ever reach out and do that kind of research in pulling comparables?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. If we, we're always watching the market. So when we have a listing, we're constantly looking to see, what has sold, what is currently on the market. So we usually do a two-step approach for our listing. So the first time when we go in, we just go in to do the sort of walkthrough and to, note issues that with the property, and basically what we're doing at that time is also establishing a relationship with the client, and then we're making our notes on the property itself, and then we say we're going to go back and do our research. So when we come back, we have a whole listing presentation, plus we bring, basically it's like a whole thick package, and in it, yes, we include all the comparable properties. We also include all the history of their home, what's selling on the street, and how much the market has gone up in their area as a percentage. We also have a statistical program that we use that allows us to be very specific with their property. Just because we like to give them as much data as possible for a couple reasons. Some people will never look at the information. And then other people, the engineers and accountants and the financial, people, they will go through all of that information. So it's there to, address sort of any concerns. And also within it, we also show them, our last page is always on homes that don't sell, because even in a hot seller's market, there's always properties that sit. And so we always point that out. And the reason why we point that out is, again, so that people's expectations on price, we talk about pricing the property right, because there's nothing worse than, sellers who think, oh, my property's so amazing, and they want to overprice their property, and it's not going to sell. So we try and make it very clear that they have to price their property correctly in order for them to sell their house. And we talk about various strategies too, depending on their property. So not every property should necessarily be priced for multiple offers, because if you're not necessarily going to attract multiple offers, then it's probably better to not price it for multiple offers, and to maybe just price it so that you will attract people, and then you can then negotiate with the buyers. But sorry, and that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but going back to agents, yes, so we're always watching the market, because sometimes, especially when a property isn't selling, like it, or you haven't had a bunch of showings and you thought you would, then you want to reach out and find out, hey, what's been the activity on your property? Have you had lots of activity or not? Because that will then give you a sense of the market. And that's why, like for us, we just had a listing that had we have listed it 2 weeks prior, we definitely would have gotten more offers on the property. But that's the way it goes. And so the market had slowed down, and it was a condo in Yorkville. So I did talk to some of the agents that were selling properties in Yorkville, and we were all experiencing the same thing, that all of a sudden the market has shifted and there has been a bit of a slowdown. Now, that may not be in everybody's area, but it was certainly true for the Yorkville market. So yes, it's important to talk to agents and to find out what's happening.
Awesome. So yeah, so I'm assuming that that's then how you determine whether or not you're going to price it for multiples, or if you're going to price it, as you said, price it right, depending on what's happening in that particular pocket.
Yeah, and the other thing that we will do that I also think is important, when we list a property, we'll take our sellers out to see what is on the market at the same time, so that they can see who their competition is. That's very important too, because that will also give them a sense of, where their property stands in terms of with the other ones. So again, for somebody who thinks, oh, my property is so amazing, and then they go and see these other ones and whatever they're priced at, and then we figure out where they should be in the market.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. That does a lot more than just printing out the comparables or the active properties and showing them photos. Actually do a walkthrough. Yeah, that's great. I'll throw this one out to the three of you. Do any of you have a pre-listing presentation or an email that you send out before the actual listing presentation? And if so, what does that include?
I used to,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I
go ahead, Himanshu. Go ahead.
sorry, please go on.
No, I was just going to say
I don't have any. Yeah, so my answer is the same. I used to have a PowerPoint, but I realized that talking on phone and talking in person is much more effective than a slide. A slide can actually add to what I'm saying on the moment, but a slideshow alone cannot make a difference as such. Yeah, so talking in person, explaining when I'm there is more important. So I don't use any listing presentation as of now.
Okay. Parveen, anything on that?
Not really. Actually, I know that lots of trainers, they say that send the pre-listing package and have them even fill out the price and send them comparables, right? But in my market, it doesn't work, because I believe it's the timing. There's not a sufficient time that, if I go on listing presentation now, and they whenever they are ready, they might have set up another person for the evening, another for the next day, So in my market, it doesn't work sending the pre-listing package. Like, that's what I have felt it, and I'm not doing it.
Okay,
Any
so
pre-listing package.
So without a pre-listing presentation, just jumping right into the listing presentation, then what is it that you include in that? I'm getting a question as well about presentation style. Is it something that you bring electronically, or is it a binder that you bring with you to the listing presentation? How do you conduct that?
Yeah, I bring both. I have both. Like, one is binder, the one is a laptop too. I have on my laptop, I have listing presentation. I bring the comparables too. So once we go, we sit on the kitchen table, and first before we open anything, we ask them, right, like what they are looking for. Are they willing to make a move, get the ball rolling? I just ask them straightforward the questions, right? Like, if whatever I show you makes sense, are you willing to list it with me today? Are you willing to work with me today? If they come up with something which is not going to be they are, doesn't matter what's going to happen, they are not going to do anything with you, then sometimes I don't even show them. Sometimes I even don't even tell them that I have brought something with for to show them, right? So I make the next appointment with them, and I just tell them, oh, okay, I have seen the home today. So when can we set up the appointment when your husband is there? Sometimes it doesn't matter what you tell them. You want to make sure them that all the decision makers are at home. And whenever you go there, one person is missing. You know that you are not going to get anything there, right? You are not going to get the listing signed. So there's no point for doing any presentation, right? But you have to keep everything. You have to take everything with you, like whatever you have to bring the comparables, you have to bring the listing presentations, and any other thing, specifically you think, that's going to work for you in your favor, right? And you sometimes I have a printed binder of a number of like, for example, now I have 200 leads from Zolo, right? I can print these copy of leads and I can tell them, look, I have a list of buyers with me, right? Your house might have been already sold, right? If you give me listing, because I have actually a list of like about 2000 leads which I generated it from Facebook a couple of years right back. So I have printed out, I have made the binder there, right? That one I can show it to them, so just to present myself look better way, right?
Perfect.
So,
Yeah, so we do have a question here about, do we have a buyer's guide or a seller's guide in Zolo? And yes, we do. In your CRM under tools, you'll see buyer's guide, seller's guide. It is a PDF. The numbers are a little bit outdated. It talks about the fact that we have 2 million visitors a month to the Zolo website, whereas now we are over 11 million visitors a month. So just know those numbers. And I think we're in the process of tweaking that, but you do have that available to you, so you can at least pull the information and maybe create your own seller's presentation. Lisa, what does yours look like? Do you have something like a PowerPoint presentation, or how is yours set up, and how did you put that together?
Yes. So yes, we have a presentation that is a PowerPoint presentation, and in it talks about our expertise, and it also talks about and this is one thing that people don't stress enough. We have a competitive advantage over any other brokerage. And our competitive advantage is we are the only brokerage that has the ability to personally reach out and connect with buyers that based on what they put in their criteria in the Zolo system, we are the only brokerage that is able to reach out to buyers that might have an interest in their property. Now, that is the biggest thing that, and I stress to the people on my team that's you really got to push that and let people know that. Now, the other thing with that people may not be aware of is one of the third parties companies that we use. They do our photography, and what they do is they can track to see where the viewers are coming from, so that look at actually our photos and that our virtual tours. And another thing that we put in our presentation is the fact that, and it's amazing, when we do our virtual tours, they can see that Zolo basically brings like 90% of the viewers, that so like beating out like Realtor.ca, any brokerage, like they don't even like show up. But so it just again strengthens the fact that buyers are looking on Zolo. So we really hammer that, and then we'll go over what we do in terms of marketing the properties, like so all the social media and everything like that we do. And then, as I said, we leave behind the booklet that's all on their property.
Awesome. All right. So during this listing presentation, I'm sure commission comes up. How do you handle that? How do you present that? How do you provide value? How do you address that?
Well, for me, so when we're doing the listing presentation, that's exactly the whole point, is that you're trying to demonstrate value. So if you can show people that you do offer value and you're offering something that nobody else has, then they're more likely to pay your commission. So we just simply, when they say, "What's your commission?" we just tell them our commission and just answer the question, and then we're just silent after that. That's how we handle it.
The power of silence. I love that. Excellent. So I know that commission question we could take up so much time with, but we do have a question coming into the chat here as well, which is a great question. What do you recommend to your sellers right now in this market? Should they buy first or should they sell first?
I actually I answered that in a private answer, whatever, to is it, sorry, Nastasia? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. Sorry if I'm not. So what I said is every situation is different. So it really just depends. For example, if you're seeing that, hey, there's going to be a ton of properties on the market that they're going to be able to buy, but maybe their house is going to be a bit of a challenge to sell, then you may want to try selling their property first. But if the opposite is true, in that you think that their property is going to sell in multiple offers, no problem, but it might be a challenge trying to find them something, then you may want to start looking at properties and trying to find them something first. And then if you do find something, then you just ask for, you try and get as long of a closing as possible, so that, you can then sell their property quickly.
Amazing. Thank you for that. So now let's assume we've gotten the yes, we've done our listing presentation, they've signed the listing agreement. The question I hear a lot is, what do I do now? So once you have the listing, what are the next steps? How involved are you with preparing the home? Do you go right to marketing the property? Is it exclusive? Let's talk a little bit about next steps after getting that yes. Himanshu, do you want to jump in?
During the listing presentation also, I normally, when we take a tour of the home before the listing presentation, and that time I normally observe, I don't tell sellers anything, but once the listing agreement is signed, and during listing agreement, I also talk about staging. Sometimes they need staging, sometimes they can stage it themselves. Sometimes I will bring a professional for staging. I normally tell them to depersonalize and declutter the home. That's one thing that is very important. Their family pictures, anything which is religious in nature, anything which doesn't look good as such, anything which is not required. There are so many things which is not required. And in one of my last, one of the listing I did in March, I actually offered this client was very hesitant to move things away because he did not have anything to store them with. I mean, it was so much that his garage was already full and then he needed more space. So I offered him that, okay, I'll pay for your storage also. So keep these things out. I'll pay for your storage for 3 months, which is not very much, is pretty cheap that way. Then he was very hesitant on the religious goods to remove and his family pictures. But then that did the trick. I showed them one more house and there was nothing of that sort. I said, can you tell the religion of people who live there or who live here? There are no family pictures, nothing religion. And then you can imagine yourself living there. This is one thing that I normally do for after the listing agreement is signed. And if the carpet needs to be cleaned, they have to be cleaned. If the washrooms are to be cleaned, the kitchen has to be cleaned. It has to be perfectly nice. The fridge inside out and the cooking stove inside out has to be clean. And if they are not able to do, then I help them to get a professional and get it done. So cleaning, organizing, decluttering, depersonalizing. This is all what I do after the listing agreement is signed.
Awesome. Yeah, and that can be a process that can sometimes take weeks, sometimes even months. And then at that point, then do you bring in the photographer and the stager? Are
So,
those your
no-
next steps?
Yeah, so normally I plan it in a way that the stager comes before noon and the photographer comes afternoon, so that he can picture what was just there done by the stager, because people, if they're living in the house, they might move things around. So I want to get it photographed as soon as it was staged. So it is, staging is always before noon and photography is always afternoon. This is the way I normally do it. And then once I have the pictures, I can share them. I normally share them to the sellers on WhatsApp. And I tell them, when you move out or when you do something, make sure things are in place as they are in the pictures.
Great. Yeah, I love that. Same day staging, photographs. Do you have a preferred day of the week to list, especially if you're holding off on offers? We have a question coming in. How do you determine the date of presenting offers? So do you have a preferred date to hit the market and then a preferred date to accept offers if you are holding off?
Yeah, so normally I listed, I mean, I've not listed much, but like 4 properties up to now and 5th now in the process. So my day is like Thursday morning. So I normally sit Wednesday night until midnight. So to post the listing on 12:01 or 12:05 in the night for Thursday morning to show up to everyone. And I keep the offer presentation on Monday evening around 7. I normally don't keep it on weekends because realtors are also busy on weekends. So Monday is a good day. Monday and around 7, so that many people are working professionals. They might not be able to sign during daytime, and evenings people are relaxed, they have time. So I normally keep it at 7. And I always put the listing either on Thursday or Wednesday, but I find Thursday to be good. And to also list it, I've been listing them low just to make them more affordable, and then list them for like 4 days, like list on Thursday, selling on Monday. That creates a little bit of rush in their mind that it is actually cheap, is going to sell really fast, is selling on Monday, so that people have some urgency to go and come and see the property. If I thought that if I list it, if the offer presentation is too far in future, then people become little reluctant to come, they become a little lazy to see that one. So I think it has to be a short fuse, like 4 days, and listed appropriately so that it is attractive and people can come and see on weekend.
Perfect.
My first listing for this year, that was in Oshawa in Feb. And I kept 15 minutes viewing that time. And we had 105 showings in 3.5 days. 105 showings in 3.5 days, because
Wow.
because it was 15-minute slot, so many people can book. Like if I plan schedule log as a half an hour slot, then less people can book, but on 15 many can book. So that's one more trick that can be done.
Yeah, great suggestions. And so what happens if they don't get the price they were hoping for? Do you do a cancel relist? How do you advise your sellers at that point?
Yeah, so my last listing was similar. They did not want the bidding to happen. They wanted less traffic, because the lady is a nurse. She realized that there's a lot of potential for COVID to come in through people, and she wanted to list it reasonably on the market price that they wanted. But then there were very few showings, which I told them, and there will be very few showings and there might not be any offers on that day, because there is no traction, because everyone is listing low, and the buyers have a differential in mind. Like suppose if I'm listing in Kitchener, they have a differential of Kitchener like 150K or 100K. So they always know if it is listed at X, they will add 100K into that and then go for showing. So I told them, if you're listing at reasonably priced, they will still add 100K to that and say, oh, this property is expensive, and they will not come to see. And that happened, and there was no offer on the offer day. But then they said what to do. I said, okay, let's wait for 2 more days, because there might be some people who might be thinking to put in an offer. So let's wait for 2 more days, and then we'll relist it, cancel it, relist it on the Thursday, and then put bid on the Monday. And it got sold on a preemptive on Saturday.
And did you relist it for the same price?
No, we reduced it by 120K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just looking here in our chat. who pays for staging and photography?
Normally, in my case, depending on what the commission structure is, and if they are buying with me, depending on how much money I will be making, I have been paying for staging, but that staging is never furniture staging. So it has been, little nice things. That staging does not cost much, and I am normally paying for that. And for if it's a Zolo lead, normally Zolo covers the cost of pictures to a certain extent. But if it's my personal listing, like it was in one case, I paid for that also.
Great.
And in one of the listing, I paid for the carpet cleaning also because the seller was reluctant to get the carpet cleaned. They didn't feel it was like dirty enough. I said, no, it is. So, but I had to get the clean on my money.
Yeah, sometimes you have to step in.
Yeah.
So going back to multiple offers, if you do have, say, let's use the example of 5 offers, how do you organize that? How do you present it to your sellers?
Normally, once I have received all the offers, one thing is I don't tell them that I have the offers. I tell my sellers because they keep asking how many offers we have and what is the price. I never tell them the price, and sometimes I don't know the price because it's just 8 to 1 many times. So once I receive all the offers, I ask them that I have received all the offers until this time. Give me half an hour to organize, and then I make an Excel file, and in my Excel file, I write all the important, numbers, like where it is coming from, what's the price, what's the closing date, what are the conditions, what are some special conditions, all that, and I show them from the lowest offer first. I make the Excel file like that, so the lowest offer, they see the lowest offer first.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and I
not-
show them either on my screen or on a projector. Yeah.
Okay. So not in the order they were received, you
No,
organize.
I tell them they are not in the order of they were received. They're in the order of from less to high.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is this something you're presenting virtually, or are you still doing these in person with your sellers?
I'm still doing in person. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
With proper precautions. Yeah. But because by the time they sign listing agreement, there's a relationship in place, and with proper precautions, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you disclose offers to other agents? Do you rely on schedule lock, or are you keeping people informed of the process?
I normally, when I receive an offer, because I'm on 2 boards, on Toronto Real Estate Board and Kitchener Waterloo, they have 2 different systems, showing time and schedule lock. So I send a notification as soon as an offer is received. I send a notification, or total number of offers.
Okay. All right. Let me see here if we're getting questions in the chat, and then I have a few more questions as well. If you have an offer that the sellers want to work with, do you counter that offer, or do you ask the buyers to improve? What's your practice there?
I always ask the buyers to improve. Yeah, but that's the safest thing to do in that process. Yeah, because I have others in place, because sometimes the offers are very close. So if I sign back something, and I might be stuck with that, because sometimes people are not able to sign back, and then once we sign back something, actually we sold the property from our side. So it is better to have offer revised from the buyer side.
Excellent. And so then once an offer has been accepted, what are your next steps then?
I do many things before an offer is accepted. I tell the sellers, this is the offer. Are you ready to accept it? And what happens after they accept the offer? And they have all the free will not to accept the offer, to reject all the offers, throw me out of the door, give it listing to someone else. I give them all the choices, because I know this is the best offer they're going to accept. But they should not be telling me that it was not good enough, we should have waited for more, or that way. And once they accept the offer, I tell them there will be a deposit which will be coming tomorrow, and they don't have to disclose the price to anyone after that is signed. Because consider it is not sold until the deposit is received at Zolo's office. And once they see a sold sign, they can tell anyone they want to. And I send a notification to all the agents, a note of thanks, and that we have an offer accepted, and thanks for the offer and interest in the property. That's all.
Great. And so that's assuming that the offer is firm and just pending the deposit. So there's no financing.
There's no condition. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. In the example of if an offer is conditional on financing, is there anything that you do, or sorry, no, once it's approved, is there anything you do between once an offer firms up and closing? What's your involvement there?
I normally tell sellers first that this is going to happen. This is a conditional offer, and consider it is going to fall off. Definitely. I mean that's the surety there is, because that's the condition says. And you have sold the house, so it is not in your favor. It is in the favor of the buyers. So even if you want to, you cannot turn back on this acceptance. But they can turn back. They can genuinely say their financing was not done, or they can use any other reason to walk away from this deal. And they should be ready with that, because otherwise I've seen, if not explained, they complain a lot. They don't know what can happen. So I tell them, when you sign this is sold for you. You cannot turn back. It's sold for you. And I tell them that they might come back with financing. Yes, they might come back before time. They might ask for an extension also. And then I tell them what are the good scenarios to give an extension or to refuse one. I tell them that also, that if you have a backup offer, which is like firm, we may not give extension. If we have nothing in hand, we might give extension, and it can fall off and we have to relist again. I prepare them that way for all the worst possible scenarios. And
So
to
for
the
all the different situations, that's great.
yeah, and for the buying side, I talk to the agent 2 days after. Normally, if it's a 5 days condition, talk to them after 2 days. How is the financing coming up? Or if the home inspection, when they are booking home inspection, and just try to know where they stand.
And so then once it does firm up, conditions are removed, if there are any, what's your involvement at that point then? After it's been accepted, it's firm, what's your involvement after that up until closing?
I normally make a package for the seller to send it to their lawyer. So it has the APS, it has the MLS listing that I send to them, that they can forward it to the lawyer. And if they're doing a buy and sell, then to their lawyer, to their mortgage broker also. And that's all. And I say just follow up with the lawyer, and I talk to the lawyer sometimes 15 days before that, or maybe 2 days before closing. And I check with them 2 days before closing. Did you get the call from lawyer? Are you going to them for signatures? Are you doing that virtually? All that.
Okay.
But not much involvement after the deal is done. Is actually with the lawyers as such. Yeah. Sometimes I get a call, like last time I got a call, there's a thermostat, it was never there. It was not in exclusion. They did not tell me they will remove it. I did not ask them will they remove it, because thermostat is actually fixed. It was a smart thermostat. And they called me that they're removing the thermostat because they bought it last month. I said, but this was never discussed. I said, but our new home does not have a thermostat. So we will take it there and install it there. I said, but this showing in the picture, this thing is showing in the pictures. I know it's not in exclusion, but the buyers might ask. And the only way was that I told them, okay, I'll pay for the thermostat, because essentially I should have mentioned that in the exclusion, but it was not there. So I agreed to pay for the thermostat for their new homes. So that was the way to, be out of that situation.
Yeah, fair enough. That's great. And then so after closing, do you send any closing gifts?
Yeah, normally I do. Yeah.
Does that change depending on the client, or do you have a standard?
No, I have a standard. Normally, there's not a number standard, but I used to, when there was home inspection, I used to reimburse the home inspection. Now, home inspection is like 350 to 450. So I normally give them that amount of gift, unless it's a bigger property.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Himanshu. And Lisa, we have a question coming in as well, just about how you handle multiple offers, if it's any different than the way Himanshu just described.
I mean, just sort of, I guess in general, it's just when the offers come in, we take a look and start collecting them, and same kind of thing. You collect them all, and then we'll go over them with our clients. So sometimes we do it in person, sometimes we do it online. It just sort of depends. But what we'll do is we'll just highlight, okay, here are the points, right? Like, so basically we just go through, okay, here's price, here's deposit, here's closing, here's, whether or not there are any conditions. And, but we make sure that we do, if we're doing it virtually, we make sure that we send the client each and every offer, because ultimately they have to see them all. We'll go through, the first offer we'll go through and spend more time just so that they understand, because some people have probably never seen an offer before. So we'll make sure that they understand all the clauses and everything like that. But then after the first, then it's sort of just like, okay, you want to get to the meat and potatoes, and then now when it comes to the who we send back, it depends. So if there is like a clear winner, then we might just send, and we have like loads of offers, we might just send back the first, maybe 1, 2, 3 people, just because even though there is a clear winner, the clear winner doesn't necessarily know he's a clear winner. So we might send back other people to try and, get those people even up. Now, but even if we don't, and we have also in the past sent everybody back. Like ultimately, we leave it up to the client to decide. We just tell them, look, here are your options, and then it's up to you what you want to do. So we're very clear about never making anything, whether it's where we're putting in offers for clients or we're selling people's homes. It's always their decision in the end, so that they do not come back and say, oh, this should happen or that should happen. But also, just going back to even if we have only one offer and the offer isn't to our client's liking, we'll go back and try and negotiate with that agent, saying, okay, look, our clients were expecting multiple offers. Obviously, we didn't get them tonight, but what we're planning on doing is we're going to then relist at a more reasonable price, or something that we thought that the seller's more inclined to sell at. And then, so what you're trying to do then is you're trying to tell this one offer, okay, look, we may not have gotten the offer or the price that we wanted tonight, but a lot of times what happens is people don't want to be in a bidding war, so they don't compete. And then the next day, all of a sudden you get all these calls saying, hey, did that property sell or whatever. So we'll try and bring that one property, or that one offer, we'll try and bring the buyers up in price, and just letting them know, hey, if you want this property, you got to get it tonight, but you got to come up in price. So, and same with, and always trying to get firm offers, never trying to get one that's conditional. So you always want to encourage people to remove the conditions of that. So, and then I guess also asking the right questions is important too with the offers. So you want to make sure that you find out as much as you can about the buyer, if they've been pre-approved, how much of a down payment are they putting down, sort of all that information. If it's a low deposit amount, you want to ask questions, why is their deposit so low, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, just a quick question. Actually, you know what? I'll hand it over to Monir. He's got his hand up, so I will unmute you. Monir, if you wanted to chat with us, let us know.
Yeah, hi everybody. I have like 3 questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And regarding what would you advise the seller to do if the accepted offer did not reach the end? Like if the buyers did not pay the deposit, would you suggest to forget about it and proceed, or claim for the deposit, take legal action? This is number 1. Number 2, how would you handle and consider a firm offer with less money towards a conditioned offer with more money? And is it based on the amount, like 50 grand, 100 grand, 20 grand? Is you will size it by money, the amount of the money, the difference? And the third one, if we want to place an unconditional and a firm offer, how important is the status certificate in terms of condos? Can we take the risk and waive the condition of the status certificate, keeping in mind that sometimes we don't have even time to get the status certificate ahead of time and pass it to the lawyers for their point of view. Thank you.
Great questions.
I don't mind answering that just to begin with. So first off, so with the deposit, from what I understand, is you're asking if the buyer doesn't bring the deposit, then do you proceed? Do you try and sue them? I mean, me personally, I believe in just moving on. Like, there's no to get caught up in a whole legal thing and whatever. If because then okay, so you sue them, like, what are you going to do? You're still going to have to put the property back on the market. So if it ends up that the buyer doesn't bring the deposit, I would just number one, you shouldn't mark it as being conditionally sold or anything until you get that deposit. So that's a big thing. So if somebody's calling in and finding out, is it sold, just say we're don't mark it as sold, don't do anything, but just you can tell people, well, we're waiting for a deposit, but just tell people on a one-to-one basis. So when somebody is inquiring on the property, so keep that property selling until you have that deposit in hand. Now, if they end up not bringing it, then nobody should know that it was sold, and until you do have that deposit in hand. But if there are some agents who had shown it, and you do have to then say to those people, if they ask you what happened, okay, well, we did accept an offer, but we're waiting for a deposit. But if you get people that are inquiring, just say to them, listen, if the deposit doesn't come in, I'll let you know, or whatever, because you want to just keep the process going until it is done. So that is number one. Number two, what you said about conditions. So, okay, I can't stress enough, it can never be the agent's decision. It has to be your client's decision. So your job as an agent is just simply to present them with what are the options. So these are your options. What do you want to do? Now, that being said, and in part of my buyer presentation, I do talk about multiple offers. But basically, if a seller is looking at, you got two properties, one is 600,000, but it's got conditions. The other one is 590, but it's a firm offer. Well, you might say to your seller, look, here's the thing. You can get your property sold tonight, done, over, done with. Or if you want to go for the more money, you do have to wait that conditional period, and many things can happen during that period. So you got to know that even if the buyer, let's say the buyer gets his financing in place, well, on day 5, if he decides for whatever reason he doesn't want to go through with it, he can get out of the deal. So you may want to consider that. And there is no exact number. It's sort of, you leave it up to your seller. Would you rather have 590? Your property, it's a done deal. You can go back to living. You can bring the kids back in. You can be, messy, whatever. Or would you rather take the chance and go to 600, Mr. Seller? It's entirely up to you. So that's how I would definitely handle that. And when it comes to, what was the last, with status certificate, I think you asked. So what we advise our sellers, if they're selling a condo, now, if the market is still hot, then the minute they tell us that they want to list, we say, okay, get your status certificate, order it today, because you want to make sure that you have the status certificate ahead of time so that people can go in with firm offers. Now, if I'm representing the buyer, what I will do is, because if the status certificate is available, I have relationships with lawyers. So I'll say to my lawyer, listen, do me a favor. My client's offering on this property tonight. Can you just take a quick look and let me know if you can see, like, if there are any issues we can be aware of. But again, I never say to my buyers, okay, yeah, waive it, or let me look at the status certificate. Let me review it. And, oh, it looks okay to me. I do not do that, because you can get yourself into a lot of trouble, because in the event that something goes wrong, who do you think the first person is that they're going to blame, right? So always, and I say to all my agents, put everything in writing. So if you are having this conversation, what I would do is just type up a quick email or text saying, listen, I just want to confirm that you're okay with not putting in a status certificate, a condition on the lawyer's review of status certificate. Because again, you want to make sure you don't want to be called before RICO. You don't want to get in trouble. You want to do a good job for your clients, but you make it their decision, not yours. Sorry, that was long, but I wanted to.
You remembered all the questions. Great. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, Parveen. Thank you, Himanshu, for joining me today. Great, very well attended session. I knew it would be. It's a hot topic. So thank you again for just providing all of your knowledge and advice. So if you guys have other questions afterwards, reach out to any one of us individually and we'll be happy to help. And yeah, otherwise we'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.